We finally have our 150th cruise booked and we're ready to go. Hey cruisers, welcome back to Cruise Report. It is, what is it, October 2025? Man, time really does seem to be flying. Got some interesting news for you today. Just a real quick video to let you know we are about to embark next month on our 150th cruise. Now, we've been reviewing ships for 22 years, 23 years. And we haven't reviewed all 150. I'm going back to my very first cruise that I took back in 1978. So I'm counting that in my 150 cruises. Now, obviously, Ricky and I weren't together back then. That was 47 years ago, 1978. And I thought it would be appropriate for the 150th cruise to kind of go back to where it all began. And my very first cruise was on the NCL Norway. I don't know if any of you remember that ship. I think it used to be the SS France, and then NCL bought the ship and sort of updated it. It was an old ship even at the time in 78. Seemed like an old ship. And but that was my first cruise, and that's what really got me to fall in love with cruising, was that experience. I went as part of a group called Single World. I was single at the time, and back then they had a system where they would match you up with a roommate, and that way you didn't have to pay a single supplement. And they had some group activities and things like that. I'll get more into that in a future video, because what I'm planning to do after this cruise is to kind of take a look back. What was cruising like? It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe it's been 47 years. My gosh, am I that old? But I was young when I went. You know, I was in my 20s, but it was quite an experience. And we're going to do a video once we get back from this cruise and have a chance to evaluate, do a full review, and I'll kind of compare, how has cruising changed in the last 47 years? Because it's changed quite a bit. Let me tell you, we will be on the new Norwegian Aqua. I thought it only appropriate that we be on their newest ship. We are not being invited on this cruise by NCL as media. I mean, we'll be doing our media thing. We'll be blogging every day to our website. We will be posting Instagram, Facebook, and of course we'll be doing all of our YouTube videos. But we paid for this cruise. So all that's up front, and I'll tell you everything about what we paid. I'll tell you a little bit now about what stateroom. We got a forward-facing club balcony suite with the large balcony. I think it's kind of on a corner at the front of the ship. I don't usually like, in fact, I don't like being in the front of the ship because that's where you get the most motion. And I have had issues in the past with some motion concerns. So that's not my favorite location, but Ricky wanted this larger balcony. And so, what Ricky wants, Ricky's going to get, basically. So we got this forward-facing club balcony suite. And, of course, that's quite a bit different than the stateroom I had on SS Norway, which was, I'd be surprised if it was 150 square feet, probably 120. It was tiny. It was the smallest they had on the ship. It was an inside cabin, bunk beds. I mean, it was sparse. Little tiny TV, maybe a 10-inch TV. I mean, I'll go into all that and tell you that whole story in a future cruise, because so much has changed since then. Now, our coverage is going to be different than what you would most likely see on other cruise channels. We focus on things like, is Norwegian Aqua going to be a good ship for adult couples? Because that's our focus. We don't have kids. We don't travel as a family. And so a lot of cruise lines now are very focused on families. The last time we were on Sun Princess, we noticed they'd really made a big shift, and they were really trying to gear more towards the family business. Doesn't mean it wasn't good for adult couples. I'm just saying that there's more focus now on families. And we travel as adult couples. So if you are adult, I'd say if you're an adult couple that travels and you like to cruise and you're over the age of, say, 40, 45 and up, that's kind of our target demographic for our content. We're thinking, you're the person we're thinking of. The 20-year-olds that might be traveling as couples, they're probably going to have different interests than we do. So we focus on that. Is this ship something that Ricky and I would want to go back on as an adult couple? And that's kind of our method, and that's our strategy, and that's our area of expertise. We also focus a lot on dining. What are the dining options like? Specialty dining, regular main dining, and what is the food? We're kind of foodies, or I am more so than Ricky, but Ricky, she appreciates good food too. So we will tell you what our experience is when it comes to dining, bar service, drinks, things like that. And then ultimately, is a Norwegian Aqua a good value? Now we're going to be going on a 7-night Caribbean sailing out of Miami. It's a round trip Miami. I think it does this almost, I don't know if it does it year round. Honestly, I haven't looked. I'll know by the time we do our review. I'll let you know that. But that's what we're going to focus on. Adult couples, dining, and is it a good value? Now, what we'll do at the end of the cruise is we'll come back, we'll compile all of our video, all of our notes. We'll put together a full ship review. We'll do a separate review on the dining, and we probably will do a separate review on this club balcony, forward-facing club balcony suite. They call it a suite. To me, that's a stretch just looking at the pictures online, because I think of a suite as having two separate spaces, like a separate living room, maybe separated with a curtain. To me, that's a suite. But they're being a little fast and loose, I think, with the term suite, but that's okay. It might be called a mini suite on most ships. Maybe it's bigger. We'll see. I don't know. I'm gonna go in with an open mind. We'll see. We paid a lot of extra money for this suite. One thing we did notice is, as soon as we made this booking, you're immediately bombarded with all kinds of opportunities to spend more money. Lots of add-on things like a drink package. I think they have a special on what they call a special for their drink package, which is $210 per person for the entire week. And of course, both people in the stateroom have to get that. You can't just one person get it. So if you travel as a couple and one of you drinks and the other one doesn't, it's probably not a good value, because it wouldn't be worth $420 if only one person is drinking, unless you drink a lot. And we don't drink that much. We might have a glass of wine with dinner and maybe two cocktails in the evening. Generally, I'd say one cocktail and maybe wine with dinner. I think drink packages tend to kind of encourage people to drink more, because you keep trying to feel like you want to get your money's worth. Now, we looked at the price of the drinks online, and it looks like a cocktail is going to be anywhere from $12 to $15. So I guess if you get 2 drinks a day, you're probably breaking even on the drink package. It's more of a convenience thing than it is a value thing. If you drink more than 2 or 3 or 4 drinks per day, then it's probably a good value. Now, we might have some bottled water in there. I'll get a couple of cups of coffee in the morning. I'm not not calculating that into this, and that has to be calculated in because they charge for everything now. Everything's a charge. Gratuities are extra. I think it's like an extra $140 per person for the week. So that's another $280. I would prefer, honestly, just to give cash gratuities to my stateroom attendant. We don't usually eat in the main dining room. We may go one time. We tend to go to specialty dining because we want to try the restaurants and we want to be able to write about them. I would just as soon tip at that restaurant for the service we get when we eat. I'd much rather do that. And I know everybody says, well, then there's a guy that works in the laundry. I have no evidence and I have no knowledge that those guys get any of this tip money anyway. Maybe they do. I don't know. I've never seen any hard evidence that everybody on the ship gets some of this, but maybe they do. There is a specialty dining package. We did purchase that. It was only $60 per person, and that gets you into 3 different specialty restaurants. That to me is a pretty good value because I think their specialty dining restaurants are anywhere from $50 to $60 per person. I will report back later if we're able to actually get reservations. I think you have to wait till 21 days before the sailing before you can book online. And I think you can, it seems like we heard that they hold more than 50% of the space until you get on board the ship. They don't pre-book every table in the restaurant. So if you don't get pre-booking online, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't get a reservation. It just means you have to wait till you get on board the ship. So I'll let you know if this specialty dining package is worth the $60 because it's worth nothing if you can't get a reservation in one of the specialty restaurants. And we don't like to eat at 9 o'clock at night. We like to eat either early before the show and all that. So I'll let you know all that. They also sent us something today where you can bid on an upgrade. We looked at a few of the options that were available and they looked pretty high to me. Like to get into the smallest suite in the Haven, which we've been for years, people have been asking us to do a review of the Haven. I think they call it a penthouse suite in the Haven. And they were taking bids, but I think the bidding started like at $1,400 per person. And that just seems, that's in addition to what we've already paid. To me, the amenities are scant. It doesn't include gratuities. It doesn't include a drink package. It basically, you get a butler and you get maybe a little bit nicer room and you get access to their Haven restaurant and Haven Lounge. And I think there's a Haven sun deck that you get access to. But it just, I don't know, it just seemed, and that was the lowest bid. They can go up to $3,000 or $4,000 per person extra. For a Caribbean cruise, I don't know. For us, not worth it. So like I say, you kind of get hit immediately with and there's a lot of other things. There were excursion packages. We may not even do an excursion. We've been to the Caribbean so many times. We've done and seen everything. We're going on this to focus on the ship, the crew, the service, the dining, the onboard activities, things like trivia and different game shows and things like that. So those are the things we're going to probably focus on a lot more than getting off the ship. Now, we may get off at their private island. I do believe it stops there, so we may do that. So I would encourage you, if you haven't done so already, please follow us on Instagram because we will be posting throughout the day photos, maybe little video clips and reels and stories throughout the cruise. So if you want to follow along, and if you have any questions, anything you want to know about this ship in particular, put it in the comments of this video or reach out to us on Instagram, and we will do our best to include that in our coverage so that we can answer those questions. So follow us on Instagram at CruiseReport. Also follow us. Make sure you've subscribed to our YouTube channel. Click the little subscribe button down below if you haven't done so already. Make sure you click the notification bell. That way YouTube will let you know when our videos come out. We may be doing some short videos from the ship. It depends on the internet and the Wi-Fi, how it connects and what the availability is and the speed and everything like that. So we just never know. So anyway, we appreciate you joining us today. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments down below. And the next time I talk to you, maybe from Norwegian Aqua, maybe we'll be able to do a live video from the ship. Wi-Fi permitting, we'll just have to see how that goes. But anyway, thanks for joining me today. And until I see you next time, smooth sailing.